Alrighty. So last week we were learning about the Stellar Consensus Protocol and a quick recap of what we did last week, the last session. So I introduced you to the consensus mechanism and why it's important in blockchain. And we spoke about uh, it's important because of the distributed monitoring and approval. In decentralized systems like blockchain, transactions are validated and approved by multiple nodes rather than a single central authority. This ensures that no single entity has complete control over the transactions. So, in the case of blockchain, it's not one person or one entity that makes the decision, just like it will happen in a bank. In a bank, for example, in a bank is a bank that makes the decision, but in a decentralized system, nodes have to agree. It's more of like a democracy. And we also spoke about decentralization. Like I said, there's no central point of control, but distributing the decision making process across many nodes, the system becomes more resilient to failure and attack. This is fundamental. This is the fundamental principle of blockchain technology. So, like I was saying, it's more of like a democracy, and the only way you can break the system is through the 51% attack, which is very, very unlikely because you're going to have to control 51% of computers or nodes in the blockchain, which itself is very expensive. Another important thing that we mentioned was the state synchronization. Everyone sees the same history, so there's no what you see in one ledger is the same thing that you're going to see from your node. Every node have this exact same copy of the ledger of the blockchain. Consensus ensures that all nodes in the network have the same view of the transaction history. This is crucial for maintaining the integrity and consistency of the ledger, and also double spend prevention. So this stops you from doing the same transaction twice. Maybe you can send the same transaction by mistake twice. So in the consensus mechanism are designed to prevent the same digital asset from being spent more than once. This is achieved by ensuring that each transaction is recorded and agreed upon by the network. Another importance of consensus is the enhanced security. By distributing trust among multiple nodes, the system becomes more secure against attacks, as it's much harder for an attacker to control the majority of nodes. So we move on to the next slide. We had a Stellar Consensus Protocol overview. What makes Stellar Consensus Protocol special? So far we've talked about proof of work, we've talked about proof of stake. You learn that proof of work is much more power intensive, and proof of stake is less power intensive. And in this consensus protocol, you stake your cryptocurrency. In the case of Ethereum, you have to stake your Ether to in order to be like you become a trusted validator through your staking. And if you decide to be a bad actor, you're going to lose all your Ethereum that you staked. So it's kind of a way to protect and make sure everyone reaches to agreement. But with the Stellar Consensus Protocol, they use what we call Federated Byzantine Agreement. It allowed for a more flexible and decentralized consensus protocol compared to traditional models like proof of work or proof of stake. Consensus is reached through the cooperation of multiple independently chosen nodes. And there's also a trust node agreement. Each node in the Stellar network independently select a set of nodes to trust. Consensus is reached when sufficient number of these trusted nodes agrees on a transaction. So in the Stellar blockchain, when you run a node, You as a node operator have to select which node to trust. So it's not something that happens automatically. But there are some resources that you can look that will tell you that, okay, these are the nodes that I can trust, and so on and so forth. And you do it manually uh, bef- before you can take part in the consensus and deciding whether a transaction can be seen as valid or not. And another thing about the Stellar Consensus Protocol, uh, the decentralized control. There's no central authority dictating which node needs to be trusted. So everything happens individually. Node operator select who to trust. Decentralized control enhances the resilience and fairness of the network, as no single entity can control the consensus process. So if you have any question as I'm reading through this, uh, feel free to pop your questions. And let me see, where did you stop? Okay, desire property. And the core concept of Stellar Consensus Protocol. So there's the trusted nodes, Stellar core nodes. These are the validators in the Stellar network. They are responsible for validating transactions and ensuring the integrity of the ledger. And user-defined trust. Each node independently chooses which other nodes to trust. This allows for a flexible and decentralized network where trust is not imposed by a central authority. And this decentralization, by allowing nodes to choose the trusted peers, SCP promotes a decentralized and democratic network structure. So why do nodes even participate in becoming validators in the network? Because when you look at Ethereum, you get these incentives, you get some crypto, you get some Ethereum for being a validator, and also with Bitcoin, when you through proof of work, you also get a piece of a Bitcoin for participating in the network. In Stellar blockchain, and I'm repeating, I think I've said it so many times, there is no monetary incentives. Validators in the Stellar network are not rewarded with monetary gains like proof of work or proof of stake systems. Instead, they are incentivized by the overall security and reliability of the network. So you basically, it's a group of people who are running nodes to help each other to build a system that all of us can trust. And another thing is the network security contribution. Validators contribute to the network security by participating in the consensus process and ensuring the integrity of transactions. There's also benefits products and services. A secure and reliable network benefits all applications built on Stellar, providing indirect incentives for validators to participate. So you, even as a validator, you want a system where you can create your application in your smart contract in a way that you know that, okay, this system is going to be reliable as for my application and also for the users. So these are the benefits. Okay, this is where we stopped last week. So the desired properties of consensus mechanism. So when you create, let's say, put yourself in the foot of the person who created or the group of people who created Stellar blockchain, or even if you want to create a blockchain system from scratch on the first level. Now we're talking about the first core level of the blockchain itself. So these are the desired properties you want it to have. So the first property is fault tolerance, continued operations. So fault tolerance ensures that the system remains operational even if some nodes fail or behave maliciously. This is critical for maintaining the reliability of the network. I hope that makes sense, because you want your system to always operate. And another property is resilience. The network can withstand and recover from node failure, ensuring uninterrupted service and transaction processing. So Here, you want your network to recover even if there's node failures. Even let's say you have 1,000 nodes and 100 stop working, you want it to keep on working. Even let's say even half of the nodes stop working, you want it to continue to work. So you want your system to have resilience to withstand and recover from node failures. So another aspect is safety. Consensus agreement. Safety ensures that no two nodes accept conflicting values. This is crucial for maintaining consistency and integrity of the ledger. And security. This ensures that all nodes produce the same transaction blocks, preventing any discrepancies or double spending issues, because you don't want the system to have different conflicting values. You want it to be the same, consistent everywhere. So liveness, so another important aspect, output of values. Liveness ensures that nodes can continue to process transactions and produce valid values even if some nodes are not participating. So you want your system to continually be live even when a number of nodes are dead or are not working or malfunctioning or are being malicious, are acting maliciously. Operational continuity, the network can continue to function and process transactions despite some nodes being offline or behave maliciously. Okay. Stellar consensus protocol focus on prioritizing safety and fault tolerance, and SCP focus on ensuring that no two nodes diverge in the ledger state, which is safety, and that the system remains resilient to failure. Liveness is considered, but not at the expense of safety and fault tolerance. So yes, of course, we want our system to be live 24/7. We don't want it to go offline, but there is something that is prioritized over all that, over the liveness, which is safety and fault tolerance, making sure that no two nodes have conflicting values. And I think that makes sense, right? Because when you make your system, you have to make sure that even if it's slow, even if the system is slow, or even if we might black out maybe for a few seconds, we need to make sure that there is safety and fault tolerance, meaning that there is no two nodes that accept conflicting values, and there is consistency and integrity. That's why sometimes on the blockchain, on the Stellar blockchain, you might experience some slowness, some delays sometimes, but this is because the priority is safety and fault tolerance. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I say a lot of things. Now I'm going to pause a little bit and take your questions. Any questions so far? Okay, I guess everyone is learning, everyone is understanding, which is a good thing. Okay, this is basically saying what I said. The ACP prioritizes on safety, ensuring that all nodes agree on the same transaction. This may sometimes result in blocks getting stuck, waiting for nodes to agree, but it ensures the integrity of the ledger. Security over speed. SCP emphasizes the security and consistency of the transaction records, even if it means slower transactions finalization. This ensures that all transactions are accurately recorded and agreed upon by the network. So it makes sense, right? So now as a blockchain, as a core blockchain developer, you know that, okay, these are what I want. These are the desired property of my consensus mechanism, the consensus mechanism in the blockchain I'm about to create. I know we will mostly work with the top layer, the application layer, because We are going to develop apps, client-facing apps, but it's also important for you to know that the underlying source in the blockchain system. So please do not get bored. I know you all want to get into coding, but this also is going to help you. And maybe when you might decide to get into the blockchain space, or maybe looking for a job in the blockchain space, you might find yourself in an interview and they ask you this type of questions. So it's so important to know not just how to build applications on the blockchain, but to also know what lies behind the blockchain system itself. We're gonna get a little bit technical. Uh, I think I mentioned it before, the quorum sets. So a quorum set is a collection of nodes that a particular node trusts for reaching consensus. Each node in the Stellar network independently selects its quorum set. Like for example, we see here, you have a node A. So node A quorum set is node B, node C, node D. And then there's also another node B quorum set is node A, node E, and node F. So let's say you are node A. So you're running node A, for example. So you're going to select which nodes you're going to trust, and you do it manually. So you've selected node B, node C, node D, and you want to, there should also be some overlap. As you can see, node B here also has its own current set. Node C also has its current set. We can say, like, for example, we can say node C has node F, node G, and node L, for example. So every node should have a quorum set. So decentralized trust, but allowing each node to choose its trusted peers, the network achieves a decentralized trust model where no single entity controls the consensus protocol. And this all makes sense because if Taylor decided that to tell you that you should only trust this one, this node, this node, this node, and this node, then there's no decentralization. But you as a node operator, when you select your own node, you select node F or node D or node L, then you see in itself it falls under the spirit of decentralization. So far, any questions? If you have a problem with your mic, you can also type your question. All right, let's move on. Another important thing that you need to know is the threshold and the quorum slices. So threshold, the threshold is the minimum agreement. The threshold is the minimum number of nodes in a quorum set that must agree for a consensus to be reached. For example, node B requires agreement from at least 2 out of 3 trusted nodes in its quorum set. So this also is set manually. So once you operate your own node, you can say, okay, I've selected 8 quorum sets, and in my configuration, I can say I want to reach agreement when 80% of nodes in my quorum set reach the specific, have the same agreement. So, for example, let's just go back here. We have node B, node C, and node D. Or let's just also assume we have node F. So we have node B, node C, node D, and node F. Let's just assume here, just for illustration purpose. So I'm running node A. I can I can put some setting in the configuration to say that, okay, I want to come to agreement if not B, not C, not D, or maybe, sorry, I'm wrong. If 3 out of 4 nodes in my quorum set agree on a transactions, then I'm also going to agree. Or in this case, we have three nodes in the quorum set, then it will be like, okay, if 2 out of 3 nodes agree, so those 2 is the threshold. So it's the minimum number. So again, the threshold is the minimum number of nodes in a quorum set that must agree for a consensus to be reached. So this ensures that a sufficient level of agreement is achieved before transactions is finalized. Okay. So node B, for example, requires agreement from at least 2 out of 3 trusted nodes in its quorum set. So does that make sense? Thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay, thank you. Quorum slices. So quorum slices are subsets in subset agreements. Quorum slices are subsets of nodes within the quorum set that form a valid agreement. A node can reach consensus as long as it has agreement from one of its quorum sets. So for example, for node B, valid slices can be node A and node C, or node C and node D. So going back here, so a quorum slice is just the number of nodes that form the threshold. So it can be node A and node B, or it can be node F and node E, or whatever. So that forms the quorum slice. So for node, so I'm just gonna read it. Example for node B, valid slices could be node A, node C, or node C and node D, as these subsets meet the required threshold. So you gotta know how to differentiate between the two. The threshold is just the minimum number of nodes in the quorum set that must agree for a consensus to be reached, but a quorum slice is the number, is the subset of nodes. So it could be like, if you're talking about a quorum set of 3 nodes, then it can be any 2 nodes out of those 3 nodes that is the quorum slice. So because these are the subset that meets the required threshold. Does it make sense? Okay. Another important thing that you have to know is the node blocking set. So in definition, blocking sets. Blocking sets are combinations of nodes that can prevent a node from reaching consensus. This ensures that consensus is only reached when there is sufficient agreement among trusted nodes. So I think I should have come with a better idea, a better example here. But yeah, let's see. Still a good example. For example, node B requires agreement from at least 2 out of 3 nodes in its quorum set. Okay, let me go back. Let's assume, let me just escape. Let me see if I can escape here. I just want to edit something here. Okay, now we're talking about the blocking set. Let's say node B, the quorum slice in this case will want at least 3, right? Because we want at least 3 to come to full agreement before A can agree. But now let's say 2 nodes B and C disagree, but node D and node E agree. Then we're going to stall. And we call node A, node B, and node C are going to be the blocking sets, because they're the ones who are blocking us from reaching consensus. So when that happens, A cannot agree. Does it make sense? And the impact. Blocking sets ensures that consensus is not reached prematurely or without sufficient agreement. This helps maintain the integrity and the security of the network by preventing conflicting transactions. And back to quorum, we we understood that there is full quorum. The full quorum is a set of nodes sufficient to reach an agreement across the network. It is a combination of all node quorum slices that collectively form a valid agreement. And then, so this is a combination of slices, different slices from different quorum. And then there's quorum slices. So each node quorum slice contribute to the overall quorum, ensuring that consensus is reached through a decentralized process. For example, a full quorum set is not A, not B, not C, not D, but a quorum slice is not A slices, not B slices, and so on and so forth. Does it make sense? Any questions so far? Yeah. Please ask questions. Statement and node opinions. Okay, this is important. Valid statement, transaction proposal. Nodes propose transaction sets. All right. Nodes proposes transaction sets for inclusion in the ledger. These proposals are known as valid statement. So we'll get more deep into that. So transaction proposal is basically just proposing a transaction. For example, I propose this transaction set for ledger 800. So I'd say this is basically the first step uh, before validating whatever transaction. So there's gotta be a transaction proposal. And then there's node opinion. Node opinion is influenced by the quorum set. A node stance on a statement depends on the opinion of the nodes in its quorum set. This centralized process ensures that each node opinion is influenced by a trusted peer. So this is what we saw here. Then we're gonna go back to the slide. If a node A, sorry, not here. Node A will come to full agreement if based on its opinion, and its opinion will come from whether the quorum has reached an agreement or not. So let's say in a quorum set of 4, then 3 agree on the transaction, then node A is going to agree. But if 2 nodes don't agree and 2 other nodes don't agree, then there's no opinion. No opinion is going to be formed. So this is basically what's happening here. So node opinion is influenced. A node stance on a statement depends on the opinion of the nodes in its quorum set. This decentralized process ensures that each node's opinion is influenced by its trusted peers, just like I showed. And federated voting, the federated voting process. So I'm going to talk about the stages of how the process of consensus come to in full circle, how it comes to agreement. So agreement in SCP is achieved through 3 main steps. So the first step is vote. So node initially vote for a transaction set. This indicates their willingness to consider the set of inclusion in the ledger. And the second step is accept. Once it's sufficient number of nodes have voted for a transaction set, it is accepted as a valid candidate for inclusion in the ledger. And then the third step is the confirm. Finally, nodes confirm the transaction set, indicating that it is safe to act on and include in the ledger. And we spoke about the node opinion as well. So how do node now come to a conclusion that, okay, now I can agree that this transaction is valid? So nodes go through different states of opinion on a statement. So a statement, remember a statement, we talk about a statement here. If a statement is, it is transaction proposal. So node goes through different states of opinion on a statement. So the first state is they have no opinion on statement A. So let's say a transaction has been sent to a node. So a node has picked up that transaction. And in this moment, there's another node with its quorum set, and that has not yet picked up that transaction yet. So now let's say now in the second step, some nodes start picking up the transactions, and 2 out of 4 nodes agree, or maybe agree that, okay, this transaction is valid. But from a point of view, the statement will also seem to be valid, but it's not yet safe. It has not yet formed its decision. It has not yet decided that this statement is in fact valid. And then there's a third step where the third state is where it accepts the node accepts the statement. When this is when there's enough node support, but it's not yet safe. And then the last step is it confirms that, okay, this statement is in fact safe if a number of quorum sets have agreed that okay, A is indeed safe to act. So these are the steps of the voting system. And to ensure that consensus happens. Transition rules in federated voting. So another thing I forgot to mention is in this step, in the opinion, when you're trying to, when a node is trying to form an opinion, it cannot accept and then accept a vote or accept a transaction and then change its mind. Let's say you've seen 3 nodes out of 4 nodes in your quorum set have formed an agreement that, okay, that transaction is in fact valid. And then your node now also agrees that the transaction is valid. The node cannot again change and say it's invalid. It cannot contradict in this stage. But on the second stage, it could change its opinion because as you can see here, it's valid but not yet safe. So there's no full confirmation that that statement was indeed safe. And when we talk about transaction, it can be like me sending you some XLM. So the transition rules in the federated voting. So they need to be consistency, and nodes vote for a transaction set if it is consistent with the previous vote. This ensures that nodes do not contradict the earlier decision. So accept A if quorum support, blocking set support. So quorum support every node in quorum slice has either voted for or accepted A. This ensures that there is sufficient agreement among trusted nodes. Accept A also if blocking set support. So a blocking set has accepted A, disregard previous contradictory votes. This ensures that conflicting decisions are resolved before acceptance. And quorum slice acceptance, every node in a quorum slice has accepted A. Remember A is the transaction. So this indicate that the transaction set has enough support to be considered safe for inclusion in the ledger. So these are all the steps that happens when you send a transaction. Uh, consensus runs. So there are two protocols that are necessary for in the stage of consensus. So the first one is the nomination protocol. So candidate selection. So nodes nominate transaction sets of the ledger. This involves proposing and voting on sets of transactions to be included in the next ledger. And the nomination protocol also can also stop new votes. So after confirming a candidate, nodes stop voting for a new set, but continue confirming existing one. This ensures that consensus process conversion on a single transaction set. And then there's also ballot protocol. So this verify quorum slices value readiness. So nodes prepared by ensuring that their quorum slices are ready to commit to the specific transaction set. And then commit. So this ensures that actual commitment of the value by the quorum slice. Once the quorum slice is ready, node commits to the transaction set, finalizing its inclusion ledger. So why do we need these two protocols? These two protocols are necessary because they serve different purposes. Nomination protocol is about what the next ledger should contain, and the ballot protocol is about locking in that choice that was selected so that everyone is committed to the same thing. Without the nomination stage, you risk rushing into the wrong decision. Without the ballot stage, you risk people agreeing at first, but later diverging because there was no firm commitment. So all this happened like smoothly, automatically. And you're probably wondering, yo, there's a lot of things happening just for a simple transaction. So ledger in SCP. Um, so the ledger represents the state of the Stellar network at a specific point in time. It includes all accounts, balances, and transactions. So question to you guys. Where where can I view the ledger? Like what can I use to view the ledger? How can I view the whole ledger, the whole history of transactions and all that? Where do I view it? Let's say I'm a beginner, I don't know anything about blockchain, and I want to find out. Okay, you told me that blockchain is like this, it's decentralized, it's transparent, but where do I see that? Where do I see that transparency? Where do I see the ledger? That should be a very easy question. Okay, yes, yes. That there's also another way of viewing the ledger. Another way. Yes, correct. Correct. Stellar Explorer or the node or mirror node. Very correct. So I want to quickly show you uh Stellar Explorer. Let me share my screen. Uh, Alrighty. So this is a Stellar Explorer. So this is something you can also build on your own. And just for interest's sake, based on what you know so far, uh, what will you use? Let's say you're a developer and you want to build something like this. What will you use? Will you use the Horizon API or are you going to use the Soroban RPC to create an application that displays all the history in the blockchain? So what are you going? This is a question for you. Will I use Stellar or will I use the Horizon API or will I use the RPC to build an app that views all this history? Okay, I'll just answer for you guys. So you need the Horizon API to do that. Remember the RPC deals with smart contract. So here we're just viewing the history, just viewing the chain itself. So you can see here, there's like a lot of information here. It's the market cap, the volume, 24-hour volume, and all that. Here, this shows the latest ledgers. So remember the ledgers as various transactions. So let's just go inside this ledger. So okay, we have this ledger. So it's ledger 5,842,000 blah blah. No, actually I'm wrong. It's 48 million. Yeah, 48 million. So this is the ledger. And as we learned before, we learned about the ledger hash, and we have the previous hash, and we have transactions. You can see all the transactions. So these are the transactions here, and you can even click on a transaction and see the account that did that transaction, that invoked that transaction, and you can also see the balance in this account. Let's go back, and now we are in ledger. It ends with 90, and we want to go. Let's go to the ledger before this. So you just want to confirm that the previous hash indeed has ends with 88A7. 88A7, that's the previous hash. So let me go to the previous ledger. 88A7 should be the ledger hash. You can see here 88A7. So this was the previous hash of the ledger that I showed you, and it also has a previous hash. So all this is the Stellar Explorer. So it's exploring all the transactions that's happening, and this is all this XLM that you see in these transactions have real monetary value. So this is actually money that is moving. You can also see accounts. Here is the directory of well-known accounts. You can see Binance. Thumbs up if you know Binance, KuCoin, Bitrust. So these are the centralized exchanges. You can see they have over 341 million XLM. And you see the transactions that are happening. You can see KuCoin also has all this balance in XLM. So these are centralized exchanges where you can buy and sell your cryptocurrency for real fiat currency. You see Kraken also. So these are just the directory of well-known account. They have their own public key. You can see this public key here. So you can send them if you want to make the rich man richer, the rich company richer. You can send them some XLM. So these are the public address and so on. So let me get back. I hope everyone has an understanding of what's happening in the Stellar transaction and all that. And to see this Stellar chain, just go to stellarchain.io. Let me put in the chat for you to see what's going on in the Stellar blockchain. Or you can also do a simple Google search and you're going to see different Stellar Explorer. Okay, now let's move back. Let's finish up. So the ledger represents the state of the Stellar network at a specific point of time. It includes all accounts, balances, and transactions, like you saw. The component, the ledger contains various components like account, balances, orders, and smart contract data. And the ledger chain, historical continuity. Each ledger is cryptographically linked to the previous one, creating an immutable chain of ledger that traces back to the Genesis ledger. This ensures the integrity and continuity of the transaction history. As you saw on the Explorer, you can see the previous hash of the previous ledger, and we're like at ledger number 58 million plus. Ledger entries. So these are the different type of ledger entry. This is something also you can see in the Explorer. There's account hold balances and are used to sign transactions. So your wallet can be an account. You have your primary, your private key, and you have a public key. The public key is what everyone can see. I can send you XLM if you like. If you give me your public key, for instance, I can send you some XLM, and they are the primary data structure in the Stellar network. And there's claimable balance. These are unclaimable transaction amounts that can be claimed by specific amounts. There's liquidity pools, contract data, ledger header. Okay, ledger header has this specific information. The ledger header contains key details about the ledger, such as the sequence number, the hash of the previous ledger, the total number of transactions, including the ledger. So this is what we saw in the Stellar Explorer, and I'll advise you to also look at it for educational purpose. Next up, so account in Stellar. So accounts are the central data structure for holding balances, signing transactions, and issuing assets. Each account is identified by a unique key pair. So this is what I just said. So your account, you have your public key and you have a private key. Private key should not change with anyone. If anybody has a private key, that person can steal and sign your transaction on your behalf. But when you use wallets, most wallets don't really show you. A lot of wallets don't even show you private key. Some, especially those ones that you use on the browser. But if you have, when you create a wallet, you have, if you're not familiar, you have some phrase. You have some phrases that are automatically generated that you have to keep to use your wallet, because if you lose those phrases, then you lose your account forever, unless you also have your private key. So to create an account, a valid key pair and a minimum balance of lumens are required. This minimum balance prevents spam accounts and ensures network integrity. So if you create a wallet, for example, and there's no lumens, then you can't do any transactions in the live network. You can't do anything. There has to be a minimum balance of X lumen before you can start participating in the network or do transactions or signing transaction or anything. So yeah, the component is just some extra information for educational purpose. The key components of an account, the account ID, the balances, the flags, home domain, liabilities, sequence number, all that. And another thing, trust lines. Definition. Trust lines are required for an account to hold and trade specific assets. They represent an explicit opt-in mechanism where an account might establish a trust line to an asset issuer before receiving trading assets. Establishment. Trust lines are established using change underscore trust operation specifying the asset and the issuer. Liabilities, buying liabilities, the total amount of assets that the account is offered to buy. The selling liability, total amount of the assets that the account is offered to sell. So this is just extra information that I put in. Uh, and yeah, so asset in Stellar, and there are types of assets, and we spoke about it. This cryptocurrencies, this digital currency like Bitcoin, and no, this is outside Stellar. This is not asset in Stellar. Let me just uh, correct myself. So a different type of assets. There's cryptocurrency, there's fiat currency, there's tokens, there's pool shares. Tokens are like these NFTs, equity, bond, and other financial uh, instruments. And if you're new to blockchain, I'll advise you to also learn about tokens and the application of tokens. This can also be useful when you start coding, when you start building applications. Um, asset identification, asset codes. So we have BTC for Bitcoin, we have XLM for lumens, we have USD for US dollars, and yeah, components alphanumeric format. Assets can have alphanumeric 4 characters or 12 characters, code, so on and so forth. So these are just some extra information that I put in. And yeah, we done. We done. And yeah, any question before we move into smart contracts and coding in Rust? Any concern? Yes. Yes. It's Apoya.
Yes, thank you, Ben, and good evening to all the other participants in the
Good evening.
house. Mine is not a question per se.
Okay.
It's a request.
All
Let's
right.
call it a request. Yeah. So, the slides that you are sharing, is it possible that you can have them together at one place so that when we want to do revision, we can always have access to them?
Okay.
Like,
I think
yes,
yeah, I
I
think
don't
what
know,
I should do
maybe.
now. I think what I should do now is I should also like give you the slide beforehand, maybe, if that's okay. If I complete it on time, I'll send and then put it in the group. So when you come to the classes, you'll be prepared. And another
Yeah,
thing
no.
also, I'm also
Okay,
going to
go
give
ahead.
you, and since we I think we also kind of have limited time, uh, because in total we're going to have 18 classes, 18 online classes. Now we're already on this is the fifth, right? We're like the third, almost a third done. So I'm also going to give you extra resources, because one thing about being a developer, you need to also uh, be willing to do research. You need to be able to do research on your own. You need to be able to get stuck. You know, you work on something, you get stuck. You work on something, you get stuck. And So I'm also gonna give you some resources, like I promised to do it last week. But yeah, I'll make sure this week I give you all the resources that you can use in in the meantime. Because as much as I'm going to teach you and have my own course that I set up, uh, it's not you're not going to learn a lot with me versus when you go through the challenge aspect of coding when you get stuck when you go to the world. So this is mostly like a guide and to get you started with building applications. So yes, I'm going to take your suggestion. and and are you in the Telegram group?
Um, yes, I am in the Telegram group. Let me see. This one written Master Soroban. Soroban.
Yes. Yes.
I see it's got the one with 4 members.
Yes.
Okay.
So just go
Yeah.
to slides. That's
Ah,
where I'll put my slide. Because
okay.
so far I updated the playlist.
Mhm.
So we have all those 4 classes there. So if you just click on the playlist link, you're going to see uh, all the classes. And I also try my best to upload as fast as possible this time.
Okay. Now that will be helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Thank you. Any other question before we leave? All right. Excuse me. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming. So tomorrow I'll introduce you to smart contract, and then we start learning how to code. First, we learn how
Oh,
to
just
do
one
advanced.
question. So
Yeah.
you've got the next slides. Are they ready? And can you share those with us as well?
Now the next slide needs some tweaking.
Okay, perfect.
Not yet ready.
I'm not sure if you want to share the Canva links because I noticed you made them in Canva. If you share the links or you share PDF, it doesn't make a difference. But like if you can share the Canva links as well, that would also help you
All
because
right.
that's also quicker and easier to like less work for you. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I can do that.
Very cool. Thanks a lot, man. Like I really appreciate the lesson today. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thanks for
Cool.
being here tonight.
Cool, man. Thanks, guys. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow. Same time. Same place. Let me end my recording and good to go.